Good evening. Welcome to the Wyndham Raymond School District Board of Directors meeting. It is Wednesday, February 4th, 2026. We are in the Wyndham High School auditorium. It is 6:30 p.m. May I have a roll call, please?
Sue Carty.
Here.
Jess Bridges. Jody Carroll. Marge Gavoni.
Here.
Matthew Irving.
Here.
Joe Kellner.
Here.
Grace Levitt.
Here.
Christina Small.
Here.
Ginny Woodman.
Here.
Maggie Soul.
Here. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 4, agenda approval. May I have a motion, please?
I move to accept the agenda as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Agenda is adopted. Next item is public input. Seeing no public, we're going to move on to superintendent's report.
Good evening, everyone, and also just want to thank the board and our administrative team for the budget workshop that we just had. For those in the public who may be watching tonight, it's been a practice of the board to have an open workshop with the A team to talk about the upcoming budget, which I will be presenting and proposing our RSU 14 budget for 2027 fiscal year on February 25th. So meeting right after break. But tonight was an opportunity for the administrative team to share just what's upcoming in the budget, to talk a little bit about the deliberation process that's taken place so far. And again, reminder to the public, the board has we'll be looking at the budget when they receive it in February, but the administrative team now has been working on it for several months and trying to bring forward the most responsible budget that they can, and to make sure that we're maintaining programs and services that we need for our students. So just want to thank our administrators for coming out tonight and for preparing for that, and also for our board for some great active listening and asking some great clarifying questions on what this upcoming budget season is going to look like. Just also want to throw out to the public and also update the board a little bit on our ED 279s and the ED 279s for the public. It's the form that the state uses for determining what subsidy that districts get. And the 279 comes from, at one point, there were 279 school districts, and so the form was called an ED 279, but it determines for both Wyndham and Raymond expenses under the essential programs and services, and also determines underneath that how much each community should contribute, and then what potential subsidy that a district might receive. So we received ours late last week, and initially we thought, through a first look at that, that we had seen about a net $100,000 reduction in our subsidy and what we'd be receiving for the state. Through some subsequent research and some other information, actually looks like we're a little bit better than that. So first of all, a change that happened in the formula is that we used to receive some direct subsidy for adult education services for our high school kids that are accessing those services. And in the 279 we received last week, we were down about $78,000 in those services. We learned that those have now been pulled out, and those will be sent to the district as a targeted amount. So in fact, we haven't lost the money. It's just going to be coming in a different way. So we should know Friday what that subsidy is going to be. The other surprise change, which we learned about today, is how debt is looked at for major capital construction projects and the state funding portion. And I know the board worked through this last year, and we have a couple new board members, but in order to be 100% state funded for the state portion of debt, of course our project has some state portion, has some local portion, but to be 100% state funded, you had to have met your fiscal capacity as a town. We learned today that that requirement has been pulled, and so the $330,000 that Raymond had to pay last year to access state debt, it looks like it's been pulled from the formula, and the state is going to cover that amount at 100%. So what it's done is it's reduced for Raymond their required amount under EPS. And it also means that that just becomes 100% subsidy, 100% subsidized. So the $105 million that we received through bonding last year, Raymond was going to pay a portion of that. Looks like moving forward that portion, that $330,000, has been removed as a requirement. And so as we look at tax impact and moving forward, it's almost like we received another net $300,000 through that process. So some better news as we've kind of been able to dig a little bit deeper into the report, and we'll continue to look at those reports and make sure that everything is captured if there are additional targeted funds. But the debt portion was a piece that hadn't previously been communicated to us, and so it was nice to hear that. That portion has now been removed. So it does impact Raymond. It is a reduction for Raymond, and especially this year as we bring on $39 million with the local debt, helps for Raymond to reduce the additional amount that will be charged to them for that. So all good with that piece, and we'll continue to keep the board and we'll keep the Finance Committee involved with that. So with that being said, we will, on February 25th, present the budget. And as everyone who's been involved in a budget process, the budget that it gets approved by the voters in June is not the budget we start with in February. As more information comes on board, as we continue to look at health insurance costs, other costs that are associated with things in the district, we'll continue to monitor the budget. We're going to be presenting probably version 5. By the time we're done, we'll probably be on version 8 or version 9. Last couple things. First of all, winter athletics are winding down, and we're heading into playoff season. So just wish the best of luck to all of our teams. They've had a great winter season, and looks like we'll have a great postseason. We'll see how things go. In addition, tonight the board will have the opportunity to approve a position. That position is filling Stephen Seymour's position at Raymond Elementary School, who board's aware passed back in January. So to be able to find a teacher right now for a highly qualified teacher, we're excited about the staff member, but sad that we're gaining this person under the circumstances.
All right, our next item is student representative report. Do you have anything you'd like to share, Maggie?
I don't have too much. Just once again, I'm sure that all of our student athletes would love to have your guys' support. We are headed into playoffs, as Mr. Howell said. I think the last game in basketball, at least, is tomorrow, and they would just love to see you guys there. And that's it.
All right, next item is board roundtable. Marge.
Okay, this is going to seem a little old. Our last meeting was January 8th, but we really haven't met to report out on this. We had a meeting with PATS and WRVC, which is Portland Arts Technology High School, and Westbrook Regional Vocational Center. I think I had sent this to the board only because it was going to be so long to put this out, but I'll go through it for the publics. So collectively, between the both of them, both centers are working on implementing a CTE, which is Career and Technical Education exploratory program, with the thought that it could be offered to freshmen and sophomores. There are more details that would have to be looked at, such as transportation, 150-hour requirement, and how do they fit that in their mandatory class, with their mandatory classes, so they can attend a technical school in their junior and senior year. There's more to come on that. Each school is currently going through a mandatory, every 8 years, they have to have a school review with the Board of Education, which is very lengthy. They didn't go into a lot of details on it, but they said it's very intense. When they get the results, they will share them with us. Both schools are also presently doing their school visits and presentations at the school and recruitments. They have, and by the way, Katahdin went today, I found out. They have made some very interesting videos with the students as the stars, and some video clips of the programs in process, which Chris Howell is hoping to share with the board once we receive them from both the schools. It was really nice to see the students in action. So for PATS, they reported out, after an extensive search, a new instructor has been hired by the HVAC program, which will allow them to offer it again in the next school year. So that will be, even though they have hired him recently, it's too late to start it for this year, so it'll be a 26-27 start. The gentleman has a very diverse background and will be an asset to the students taking this course, so they are very delighted with that. They also hired a new multilingual literacy support teacher in October to support students and teachers. Both schools want to make sure that there are as few roadblocks as possible that would deter students from attending their program of choice. In the past, it's usually been a lot of things with the kids who had IEPs, 504s, et cetera, but with a lot of the immigrants that have also come in, that has also come up. So they want everybody to know that they are taking everybody if they qualify to be in there. The plan is to have 343 students signed up to attend in year 26-27 at their school. They can support 200 students per session. There is 2 sessions per day, as we each know. There's Tech 1 and Tech 2. Tech 1 is your first year. Tech 2 are kids in their second year. In each class having a minimum of 13 and a maximum of 15 to 20, depending on which program it is. There is still work to be done to address the lack of gender diversity. And it seems like that's quite prevalent in both schools. It says the stigma of trade schools over college has decreased, but bringing females into the trades still needs work. ELO, extended learning opportunities versus trade schools, is helping many students who, for whatever reason, don't make it to the trade school. That's my comment. And as we know, because we've heard from ELO in our school here, PATHS is reviewing their current programs, and a suggestion was made to send out a survey. I'll have to report out at that at the next meeting. We'll see what happened. They were very excited to announce that they have a new 25-member student council consisting of a student from each program in both sessions, Tech 1 and Tech 2. They will be going to Augusta on February 12th to be recognized. This is something that's really new for them, which will be great, because we have those at the high schools. At WRVC, most of what was discussed was at the beginning of the meetings, as I said, which really went for both schools. They have sold much of their older equipment and are using the funds to hopefully start a plumbing class in the near future. So they'll be looking for an instructor for that, which is great because it also ties into the HVAC. And as we know, that in the past, we always had Part 1, Part 2 that was in for the trade schools in our budgets. We have not done the first one, which is our portion of the money to support it, is being done by the state now, and that's why we usually, in our budget, we see 0 on that line. That one's gone, I'm sorry, it's Part 2, which is the capital fund of it. And the capital, they've been very lucky. They have really struck up some good rapport with the local businesses, so they have been able to get a lot of their equipment and stuff donated locally from the businesses. So that has saved us some money. WRVC is also part of the Maine Bridge Academy, which will give participating students 24 credits either through SMCC or UMF. They make every effort to support students who are interested in earning these extra credits. They also encourage students to talk to their school counselors to see what's available. I would further encourage board members to like both schools on Facebook pages to see some of the great things on there. They post a lot of stuff on their Facebook page, and it's usually program related, so you get to see what is going on in each one of the programs. Our next meeting is February 12th, so I will probably have, I'm sure I will have another report at the next meeting. Thank you.
I actually have a question since you brought up the budget a little bit. So you mentioned the 2 parts. So I think most of us that have been here know that the technical schools are funded by the state. That doesn't impact our budget. So a couple of the positions you had mentioned that were added, that's not going to impact our budget.
It will, no impact.
The second part about the capital expenditure, would that come from us?
That would.
Okay, but
there isn't any. That's
okay.
the Part 2, right, Chris? Yes, that's Part 2, and that's why it's usually 0 when we see it.
I'll just quickly jump in here. So
Go ahead.
Part 1 is what the board used to use to support CTE that now goes directly. Part 2, which was the capital piece, the CTE centers have been receiving enough through EPS to actually cover Part 2 without assessing back to local districts to pay for equipment. So they've been self-funding now for a number of years. We haven't had to pay a Part 2 in probably 7 or 8 years.
Okay,
Right, but we keep it as a budget line item just in case. I think, is it still in there? It was in there. Oh, okay.
So I just wanted to take this opportunity to be super clear that our students do benefit from technical schools, but that does not, it's not in any way impacting our local budget. All right, next committee report, facilities. I'm sorry, Grace?
That's okay. I've got a few things, but I'll start with the Wyndham Raymond Adult Ed Advisory Board met the other night. And just a quick, I'll forward the minutes. I just got them. I'll forward them to the rest of the board after the meeting. But just want to go over a couple of highlights. Director Nash reported on a recent successful annual wellness summit that other RSU 14 staff attended with him. He's on the planning committee for that. He's very involved in a number of ways in adult education. I'm very grateful for that. It looks like the federal funding will be flat. That's what they're expecting, so that's a good thing. They were concerned about that. Let's see. And also, there were reports from the different coordinators. Academic coordinator and the college and career access coordinator gave us some written reports. There are 22 students in the main college and career access program. There are 24 in adult basic ed, 65 in ESOL, English as a second language. There is an impact on the classes that are held in person with what's happening in our state just recently, but the online classes are absolutely full. There are 7 high sets that have been earned, 7 more are underway, and there are 6 students working on high school diplomas with more to come. The enrichment programs are certainly well attended, with some exceptions where they didn't have enough enrollment and haven't been able to offer a few things they hoped to. But overall, there are 600 classes that our Wyndham Raymond Adult Ed offers each year, which is remarkable. I'd mentioned previously in a previous report on this that there were difficulties with the new platform that is being used with registration. Weather may have had an impact on some of those enrichment classes. People just want to stay huddled by their wood stoves, likely. I know I do. And also, there was a major setback with delivery of the catalogs for the winter spring courses in Raymond. And it's been addressed. They've been out now. It's all available online, but we talked about some other ways around that potential problem happening again. So again, I'll forward the minutes to you all. I also wanted to mention, I was thrilled to get to attend, along with a couple of other board members and our superintendent, the amazing race with the high school geography class, right? It was a lot of fun. There were a few glitches with the technology, but it was still a lot of fun. It was sort of a end of semester activity for the students. It was very creative, and really they had to work together and solve problems to figure out the clues, and was thrilled to get to do that. And I survived it, so I was glad about that too. But also just yesterday, I got to observe a numeracy lesson and a literacy lesson in Raymond Elementary and in Wyndham Primary Schools, thanks to the instructional coaches for literacy and numeracy. I'm really grateful to them. Fantastic work. You heard the presentations at the board meeting recently, and the curriculum committee had heard a more detailed presentation. I was very curious to see it. And you've all seen how good the data, the results are from the work that's being done. And on top of that, I just wrote down the word joy to remember that, because the literacy instructional coach asked me after the kindergarten class, and so how do you feel? And it was just joyful. It was joyful. The kids were all engaged. They were learning this so incredibly well. The numeracy lesson as well, they were so engaged, and I learned a lot of new vocabulary as far as, I can't repeat it, I have to write it down and look it up and study it some more in terms of what they were doing, and they all know their stuff, so it was fantastic. I really appreciate their efforts on all of this. Thanks.
So I got ahead of myself. We're still in board roundtable. Does anybody else like to share? Okay, now we can move to committee reports. Finance.
All right, the Finance Committee met yesterday. We had a really good and productive meeting. Started reviewing revenue and expenses, which were already prepared for the January month end, which for those that do any accounting work, having final numbers 2 days after the end of the month is an impressive feat. So nice work there. District continues to be on track for both spending and revenue. There were a couple of questions that came up, but overall actually ahead of where we need to be at this point to be on track for meeting our budgeted targets. So, good stuff there. We talked about the survey that's been sent to the public via Parent Square. That survey, as a reminder, is to try to garner some input on how people want to be educated about our budget, how they can learn more about that process. We have about 25 completed responses on that survey. 104 people had opened it at the time that we looked at it. We previewed that data. For members of the public that are listening, I hope that folks will take a chance to look at that. I believe we've posted the link now on our Facebook page as well. And if not, it will be posted soon. And we're going to do another notice for Parent Square as well. So again, that data is super helpful to us. I appreciate people's time in doing it. And attached to that is an education series, number 1, that we've put out to help people learn more about our budget. So good stuff there. We talked about the next budget education, got into the ED 279. If I were to be tested on the ED 279, I think I could get a C- is my guess at this point, so getting better. But through this budget education, we're going to try to help the public understand how that form, the Essential Programs and Services funding formula works, why it matters, how it impacts us, and why it changes year over year, and try to do it in plain language. So that will be the next education. Following that, closer to the public budget meeting, we'll do another education piece on expenditures, really trying to take the input from this survey that we're doing to better present the data and help people understand where the tax dollars are going. So I'm excited about that, but I get excited about numbers, so it might be unique. We have finalized our meeting schedule with all the cost center leaders. This is a new thing that we're trying this year, to have an initial meeting with the Finance Committee prior to them presenting to the board to really get into the line-by-line detail and answer some preliminary questions. Those will be, March 3rd and March 10th from 9:30 to 2 on March 3rd and 9:30 to noon on March 10th. So really looking forward to those conversations. Following the March 10th meeting, we're going to enter into a joint meeting with the Facilities Committee to start to work on one of our board goals, which is a 5-year capital plan, and also generally to talk about the capital budget for fiscal 27, which I can't believe I'm saying out loud. So that was our meeting, very productive. Next meeting will be on March 3rd, and we'll be focused on that budget stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Facilities?
Okay, facilities met January 13th. First thing on our agenda was capital planning, and it was Bill's 10-year capital improvement plan. And I want to, and as I'm sure Joe would, I want to thank Bill Hanson and his crew for all that they do. I just want to show you before I start this. This is page 1 of Bill's capital improvement plan. That's only page 1. Presently, there are 67 projects on the plan, and 11 of them are additional, are on existing project with lease payment plans. He was very kind, just so everybody knows, and I will send this out to the rest of the board because Bill was nice enough to give this to me because I would never remember it. But he designates them differently. You have MIPs, CIPs, and CRPs. An MIP is a maintenance improvement project. It's one that is funded via cash from the operating budget, generally but not always under $100,000, and these funds have to be spent in the fiscal year they are approved for. CIPs are capital improvement projects. They're funded via a lease in the operating budget, can be any amount, and the lease can be any term. The lease funds have to be spent in the fiscal year they are approved for. And lastly, there are CRPs. That's the Capital Reserve Project, funded via year-end balance transfer approved by the voters. Funds for this bridge fiscal years. I will send the cheat sheet to you all because he was kind enough to give it to me because I always get them confused. So we did have that. It was very interesting, very complex, and thank you, Bill, for doing that with us. And we are going to get together with Joe, as he said, to go over everything and see how the facilities and the finance, well, we do work hand in hand, and it's just what happens. I know it's a very difficult thing because, as I've said it before, and Bill is very firm on this, that this is a moving target for him because you never know when something's going to go, and when something goes in this district, it's usually something big, and then it takes away from something else. Okay, after that, we talked about the middle school construction update, and that was Mr. Howell, and he gave us, excuse me, an update on the construction cost to date. There's $79 million remaining to complete the project. It was actually very good. As far as we've gotten, there have only been 8 change orders to date, totaling $61,000, and $61,000 out of what this building costs is minor. A furniture committee has been established, and so far there are 200 clerk reports that have been completed to date, and if anybody gets a chance, they should get on there and see the active video when they're working. It's cool. Then we discussed the Manchester School and the sewer. This one is, okay, also knowing people in the town keeps, every time I ask, and Chris asked, they have insured us that come April, May, we will see first flush at the Manchester School. We're keeping our fingers crossed, but I know that Chris and Bill have a backup plan if that does not come to fruition. We next talked about what is pretty important, and we haven't talked about this before, and it's building transfers, because when we leave Jordan Small and the Wyndham Middle School, the plan, and that is that, of course, as everybody knows, that both of the schools are going to be given over to the town to do what they see fit, which right now we think it could be a combination, community center, town hall, or whatever. I think Wyndham's a little further along than Raymond, but they're both working on it. So Mr. Howell discussed the transition plans that would help support the closing of the schools and the merging of the staff and students into the new school. There's more to come on that because this is just early in the conversation. And so the other part of it was a conversation about, okay, the future plans for the buildings and possible lease options. At some point in time, when we get through with, when Chris gets through, there's a real estate transfer, or however it's going to go, whether it's a lease or not, that is going to have to be voted on by the board. And there'll be more to come on that later in the spring. Next, we talked about RES and Jordan Small's water issues. We know that RES has been undergoing this water problem for a while with radon and PFAS. We think pretty much that the radon is okay, but PFAS is not quite there yet. I don't know, when we had our meeting, we didn't have the results yet because they had done a PFAS test, and I don't know if Bill's gotten the results in.
Yeah, the treated water coming in the building is still 0 for PFAS. However, we know we have it's dropped in the outside well. It was at high as 32 parts per trillion. I think it was down to somewhere in the low 20s. They still haven't closed the first well, so we know we might still have some cross-contamination from that. But treated, there's no PFAS coming into the building.
Right.
It's the precursor. And right now, the state just adopted a new threshold of 4 parts per, it's either billion or trillion. It's a couple drops in multiple Olympic swimming pools is what it works out to be.
Yep. So we're staying on bottled water for a while longer, until Bill is happy. Bill doesn't want to take any chances of anybody, any repercussions from this. The other thing is, at Jordan Small, there is, I think it's one fountain that tested, failed a lead test. When they tested again later, it tested okay, but that was not the state one. The state has a 1-year follow-up testing before you can use it again. Let's see, it must have been after, there was another testing in January as part of the quarterly, but I don't know, did you hear anything on that?
Everything's come back as 0, and it's a lead-free
Yeah.
faucet. We think we had a bad test, but the protocol is that you do another year's worth of testing before you declare it that it's.
Yeah.
There's 2 water fountains in that area,
right.
so one's in a trash bag on it, don't drink from that one. The one that's fully there is good to go.
Yeah, so they're fine. It's only that one fountain there. Next, we discussed the playground committee work, and that is going to be on our next agenda also, talking about the playground. And also, there is Bill is added a line in the 10-year plan to fund that project. We just have to figure out what does it look like. We'll have another meeting with the playground committee to find out exactly. At some point, we have to prioritize. We did initially, because we know the Manchester School has the highest need for one. The new middle school is all set, because a lot of that is taken outside of this project. But the Manchester School is going to take priority on this one. We also have to look at the pre-K play space at Wyndham Primary School. Presently, it's kind of makeshift. It's really not adequate. They don't know it's not adequate. I mean, I'm sure they have fun when they're out there, but it isn't something that everybody's happy with. So we've added the playground upgrades to the school 10-year, as I said, and then we'll look at it and see what's what, and meet with the playground committee. So RES, now these are just the updates from Bill, and this is on the generator and the air source heat pumps. He reviews the progress and the next steps associated with that project. RES successfully is heating the building with the air source heat pump. Energy savings are an important aspect of this project. It's cleaner burning, it runs better, more environmentally sound, etc. And this was most important. On most days, the building could be run on 2 generators, so the built-in redundancy is good. And as you know, if anybody's been out there, there's 4? I think there's 3. There's 3 out there. So, and it's been very cold, so I'm sure that's going to be great. Our next meeting is February 10th at 5 o'clock at 61 Wyndham Center Road, but in the house, not in the school. Excuse me.
Thank you, Marge. Next is policy. Joe, do you mind moving your mic a little closer to you before you start, please?
Not a problem.
Thank you.
No problem. So readout from Jody, policy has not met. We missed our last meeting due to the snow day. Next meeting is Monday, which was a reschedule, at 9:30 in the district office. During that meeting, the work will continue as posted on our public agenda, which we encourage people to take a look at. The policies are related to family care leave, facilities, chemical hygiene and hazardous materials, pest management in school facilities, and there are 2 J student-facing policies on immunization and students and communicable diseases.
Thank you. And curriculum has not met. Did you want to add anything?
No, we are meeting on Monday, so at 3 o'clock, and so we haven't met since the last meetings, but we'll be meeting soon.
Okay, so that's February 9th, and the topic will be Farm to School. And I'm just going to take this opportunity to do a little self-promo. I had forgotten the topic of that meeting, and I went to my parent square. And anybody in the community who doesn't know, when you get your school board agenda, if you scroll down, there is a monthly newsletter, and it lists every single board meeting and committee meeting and all of the topics that we're going to be discussed, as well as links to the agenda. So it goes out on Parent Square. It's on our Facebook. It's printed in the Eagle. So I just hope if anybody hasn't seen it yet, they can take that opportunity to see what we're up to. All right, we're going to move on to report of the secretary. May I have a motion, please?
I move to approve the minutes of the January 7th, 2026 meeting.
Second.
Board discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Next motion, please.
I move to approve the minutes of the January 28th, 2026 meeting.
Second.
Board discussion? All those in favor? All right, motion carries. Next item is new appointments. May I have a motion, please?
I move to approve the following appointment for the 2025-2026 school year. Megan Kiley, kindergarten teacher, 1 year for Raymond Elementary School.
Second.
Board discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. All right, we have arrived at the Wyndham Middle School State of the School presentation. Welcome, Principal Appelstein.
Good evening.
Yes, I would.
No.
Oh, that'll work. Thank you. I was ready either way. So I used to teach audio and video productions, but that was a long time ago, and so many things have changed, so please forgive me. Greg Appelstein, Wyndham Middle School principal. My overview is listed on the left-hand side. I'll cover some program highlights. There's always lots to choose from. A couple of our school goals, challenges that we face, which I think are opportunities for growth, action plan, next steps, and then a window into WMS. And a couple of these photos were taken by myself and another staff member. Marcia Bailey took one of the lights there over Field Allen a year ago. So on the left-hand side, I take a lot of photographs when I'm out and about in the school because I really want to capture all the great things that are going on at Wyndham Middle. So earlier this year, our 8th grade Team Sebago put on a PBL project learning display. They invited families in. Students had projects. We filled the library. It was a great turnout. On the upper right side of the photographs, those are some math projects that our 7th grade math students have worked on earlier in the school year related to tessellations. And the lower left would be some 6th grade student artwork from Ms. McHugh's class. That is the major display case in the entrance to the school when you come in. And then Ms. Hopkins' 7th grade art students were making those paintings and drawings, and those hang in the long hallway. So as you heard earlier tonight, we are currently piloting bar with half of our 6th grade team. So we have about 100 students on Team Tahiti, and that is currently a stipended position. It is a teacher leader that is leading that work, and Maria Goodwin is a part of that. And I do have a link here. I just wanted to click on it and show you just briefly. We made a presentation to the curriculum committee a couple weeks back, those of us that are involved with BAR in the district. I won't go through all of these slides. I did link it in if you're curious or you're interested as to what is happening. It's our first year. We are moving slowly. Our coach, Tony, has been fantastic with us, and we participate in a couple different opportunities. You're probably already familiar with it. The teachers have really embraced the iTime lessons. The students have really embraced those. We do those through their 5 core subject areas. We have 5-person teams, so we have the core, the regular math, science, English, and social studies, but then we also have the applied arts on team, which is kind of unique at the middle school level from what I've heard from other principals in Southern Maine. And so the iTime lessons, that gives the students the opportunities to explore themselves a little bit more, each other, and the world around them. And they do those through the classes rather than through our advisories. The team has small block meetings. AJ, our assistant principal, she and I do not go to the small block meetings. Those are for the core teachers to talk about kids and discuss ways that they can help support them. We do participate in what is called the bigger block meetings, where they have students that might be facing some more challenges, might need some interventions from administration, possibly the nurse, possibly special education. So we are very much a part of those conversations as well. And then we have our own bar admin check-ins, and we meet with Ann Maria roughly twice a month with snow days and other things, absences. We've lacked a little bit of consistency, but we always make up for it when we reschedule if we've kind of gotten off on the calendar. I'm really thrilled and happy to say we had Dr. Bickford with us today. Both schools were there. Both middle schools were at Wyndham Middle. She gave us some fantastic information about trauma-informed practices. This is her second session with both schools. We will have her, I think we will meet with her twice more. She is into the part of her presentation where she's starting to give teachers and staff some hands-on techniques that we can utilize with students starting tomorrow morning or Monday morning. And so we're thrilled about the work that we're doing with her, and I think it's beginning to resonate with people. You know, sitting through, learning more about the trauma that our students have faced over the last, 10, 11, 12 years by the time we have them in middle school, that first session was a challenge to get through, I think, for many of us, because it just really opened our eyes to the reality of what we're living with and what our kids are living with that we may not have grown up with. And so helping our staff to become more informed, I think, has been a game changer for us. I also have to say that you'll see a lot of probably what you heard Michelle talk about when she was here with all of you, because we're doing so much in tandem, and we have since I started 3 years ago as we move toward the new middle school. So a phrase that we talk about in education, teacher efficacy, a teacher's belief in their ability to positively impact student learning. I think this is super critical for us. We have been meeting as a joint leadership team, so both leadership teams from both schools have been meeting since last year. We have formulated 4 or 5 subcommittees, and we're starting to take a look at grading and reporting practices. We're starting to take a look at what are some of the traditions in both schools that we would like to continue, what are some new traditions that we can bring together and try for the first time that may or may not have been a part of our climate or our culture previously. And ultimately, the continued work, my apologies, the continued work that we're doing with Christine's assistants for curriculum and instruction and assessment. They are meeting social studies missed because of this. Yes, that's coming up on Monday, right, because of the snow day. English has met as well, and they started last year, as you know, taking a look at what's happening at the 6th grade level at Jordan Small, what's happening at the 6th grade level at Wyndham Middle. What are the similarities? What are the differences? Where do we overlap? Where can we see some things that we can find common ground on, which is a great place to start, and I'm grateful for Christine and her leadership in that regard. And this year, they've taken it down to another level where they're starting to take a look at some common assessments, what are the standards that we're assessing, et cetera. And so that is definitely a highlight of what we're doing. And then this year, Danielle has joined us in some of our joint leadership team meetings when we've had them either at Wyndham Middle or out in Raymond. And so it's great to have her now be a part of what we're talking about. And the last time we had a joint meeting, we did have 3 or 4 teachers, 5th grade teachers, that were with us, which was fantastic. So as we continue to move forward, we're starting to see the tapestry reveal itself in many ways, and to be a part of actually creating the tapestry, I think really makes teachers and staff feel like they have some ownership in the process. I need to take a sip of water. I've been sort of under the weather, so my apologies. So we have many goals. I highlighted 2. By June of 2026, WMS will implement at least 3 specific measurable staff engagement initiatives tailored to their unique needs as measured by. And again, we're talking about staff engagement, and we're involving staff in much of what we're doing, as the first slide indicated. So ultimately, we want to keep our retention levels as we head into 26, 27. We have 3 or 4 subcommittees at the middle school. One of those subcommittees, and these are made up of staff members, the Culture and Community Committee. They have done a variety of things. They've worked with student council to come around on certain Fridays, like if like the day after parent-teacher conferences in November, the kids and the committee created a beverage cart and a little snack cart, and they wheeled them around in the main building and out in Field Island as well. Again, it's a way to help staff feel cared for, involved, and engaged. quite often it's the little things, right, that really help people feel connection to what we're doing. Obviously, the implementation of the BAR program on the sixth grade Tahiti team, and ultimately, as you're aware, we did request a BAR coordinator for the middle school. We would love to go full BAR. Obviously, you heard Christine earlier, you heard Michelle earlier talk about the idea that is currently on the table for how that might look going forward. More conversations need to occur, but I'm super excited about the possibilities related to that. I've also really enjoyed, having taught English and video productions for my teaching career, to learn a lot about math this year, as you were saying, Grace. So we've had an iReady coach in this year. We spent 1 week with a coach in the fall. The coach is returning in March, and it gives me the opportunity to be out and about in math classrooms, trying to understand the math that's being taught, but also engaging with the teachers, engaging with the students in understanding the practice of iReady. It's extremely comprehensive. It's a slow learning curve for me, but I'm all in. And those coaching cycles, I do believe that has fully impacted our scores. If you've heard from Christine about the data that just came in from our winter iReady, I was blown away by what I saw today. We did a lot of that work today, actually, as well. On the first half of our in-service. And then, as I've said before, we have the combined leadership team meetings. And then student engagement, right? Staff engagement, student engagement. By June of 2026, we will reduce chronic absenteeism by 5% from the baseline of 6.54 to the target of 6.2, and increase overall student attendance rates to 25% from a baseline of 93%. We have already met this goal. We met that. I believe AJ, who does a lot of our attendance work, we reported that out, I think it was 2 or 3 months ago. In fact, I think it was Chris who first realized that we had made those improvements. So some of the challenges and the opportunities, again, this quotation resonated with me. I think some of us grew up in an era where challenges usually meant failure, and we're living in a day, at least in my experience, and we're living in a day and age where challenges to me are the opportunities for growth, and that obstacles can be stepping stones. And we talk to the kids about that all the time, and what we do for the kids, I think we need to do for the adults as well. So some of the chronic absenteeism, the ways we've begun to address those, it's given us opportunities for staff and teacher caregivers, obviously as many different methods as we can use. The messaging through Parent Square, we've gotten a lot of mileage out of that as well. I've left voicemails ad nauseum for certain parents, never get a call back. I send them a message through Parent Square. Within minutes, I get a reply. We're living in that time frame, or that time period where messaging seems to be a predominant form of communication, maybe more so than emailing and even phone calls. So we are trying to be a part of what's happening in that regard. We have regularly occurring attendance committee meetings, and there are a group of us. It's a cross-section of staff, guidance, the nurse, myself, our front desk person. They know a lot about families and trips and illness and extended absences. And then AJ, our assistant principal, she makes parental contact in as many different ways as she can. She stumbled onto the messaging idea. She started doing it. That in turn caused me to do more of it, and she gets a lot of mileage out of messaging with parents as well about students and creating a return to school plan if they've been out chronically absent. We do home visits. A couple of our staff members did some home visits last week, and so we do that as well. And then ultimately, I have been trying my best to send out attendance report blasts to each of the caregivers so that they can see what their students' attendance has been. I know Ryan does it monthly at the high school. I'm trying to keep up with him. I faltered a little bit here in January into February, but I'll bring it back around. Our behavioral, social, and emotional needs of students, again, this comes out of the work that we're doing with Dr. Bickford. We do have dysregulated, disruptive, disrespectful, and defiant students. It's a small percentage of what we have at Wyndham Middle. I don't want to misrepresent the fact that an overwhelming majority of the kids are not disruptive, not disrespectful, not being defiant, and they are regulated. And so we're talking a lot about how do we address some of those needs of the students who are more challenged and the lack of student regulation, and really talking and thinking about skill development and engagement for those students. And then ultimately, as we continue with Dr. Bickford, we are learning those tips and tricks and techniques that will hopefully give us the opportunities to help some of the more dysregulated kids become more regulated. And then all the professional development time. Thank you all for the opportunity to do all of these things that we're doing. I don't know if there's anything up there that I haven't already mentioned. It does not look that way to me. Okay. Most of our action steps, again, are continuances of what we've already been doing. We'll continue with the Parent Square Blast about the importance of school attendance. Celebrations of perfect attendance, again, a new feature this year. We have quarterly community meetings, and we do shout outs. So each teacher picks 2 or 3 students. They do shout outs to those students. Names go in a bucket. Those students then get to compete against Mr. Applestein and Ms. Ruth. Best out of 5 in it to win it. Minute games. If they best us in those games, this time the grade levels earned an opportunity to play indoor volleyball, beach volleyball inside, with a ginormous beach ball. Kids loved it. And during those shout-out community meetings, we've now started announcing the perfect attendance in each one of those grade level meetings. And the kids responded really well to it. We're thinking about how we can continue to honor those students that do have perfect attendance and what we can do to celebrate them even more through our PBIS initiatives. And again, the bar pilot, the expansion to the whole school, the work of Dr. Bickford. I did put in bold and in italics the early release school-wide staff data dive. AJ was at Jordan Small yesterday. She worked with Christine, came back, replicated the work that they're doing there, the template and the protocol. So we looked at our whole school data. We've seen growth in reading and math scores from the fall to the winter. Super excited about that. And ultimately, we did have teachers start to drill down a little bit and start taking a look at their own data for their own classrooms. Teachers, as we know, are very passionate and very heartfelt about the work that they do. And so I think a few staff were a little, maybe a little harder on themselves than I would have liked to have seen about their own data. And so as we continue to go forward, we've already brainstormed some ideas for how we can improve those areas that we need to improve upon. Again, all teacher driven rather than a top-down approach. Again, that gives teachers the ownership to take onto themselves what they can do to improve their instructional practices in their classrooms, and they're able to have those conversations with other folks that are teaching the same subject areas. And then again, all of the upcoming work that we're doing with all 3 schools related to curriculum instruction and assessment. And our March workshop, we started planning that a month ago, I think, and we already have ideas for how to bring 5th grade teachers into the fold and vice versa. And so we have some activities that we're planning for that. And then lastly, I guess this is my closer, on any given day, like any school in this district, you can walk in, and what I hope you hear and see is a little bit of noise, kids having some fun, teachers excelling in their instructional practices and finding the hook for every single student. You know, I've always had my core belief, I want to reach and teach every student every day. And that's my mission. And you see it as you make your way through the halls of either the middle school or right here in this auditorium. These are a variety of different activities. If you did not see the Lion King Jr. musical, April Monti, the director, told me when I saw the performance, over 100 students were involved in that, in front of and behind the curtain. I don't know if I've ever known of any other musical in my career with that many students involved, which is just super fantastic. And I think that brings an end to my presentation. Unless you have any questions.
Ginny?
Can you just tell me about the Tahiti team?
Yes, so our sixth graders are housed in Field Allen. They quite often call themselves Field Island because they're a building unto themselves. Well, this year they've renamed their teams and they're all labeled after islands, and on the very first day all of them had team t-shirts. The teachers did, not all the kids. So Team Tahiti is our five-person team, one of our teams at the sixth grade level, and that's what they've chosen to call themselves. I think teachers made the decision about their team name. So we have Bali, Tahiti, and Maui.
Thanks, that's great.
Yeah. Yes.
Grace?
I thought Jenny was going to ask this. ERD stands for?
Early release day. My
Oh, okay,
apologies.
okay.
Yeah,
No,
too
just-
much education speak, I know.
I thought it might be something else. Thank you.
Yes.
Joe?
Yeah, more comments than questions, which I guess is on brand. This is great. Just really, really good work going on. I want to applaud you and the other building administrators for being open to the concept of trauma-informed practices. It's something I've had the privilege of becoming familiar with too. And to your point, it's not easy to digest that information, but it's so important, and really appreciate that. I've also just randomly had some unsolicited feedback from parents about their experience with Wyndham Middle School, and they're just elated with what their students are experiencing in your school, the learning that's going on there. It's evident in this presentation, so I just want to share that with you. All good stuff. Thank you.
Well, thank you on both accounts. Thank you very much.
All right, I have a question. I hope you don't find this to be an unfair question, but when we had our first bar school piloted in this building, Ryan Karen was able to come, I think, in the middle of the year with some data right from the get-go, attendance data. So you have a pilot team. Is there any chance you have any data from there, comparison of attendance or?
We do, and it's still early in the process, but I certainly, we have a check-in coming up with Ann Maria, and that's part of the conversation that we do have with her. And we also have coaching feedback because he's worked with her, and so some of what he provides us is data regarding the work that she's doing in relationship to the pilot. I certainly can gather that information and forward it on to you. Yeah, absolutely.
I think a lot of us would be interested in that. I mean, even if it's just attendance data comparing the pilot team to the rest of the grade level, sometimes that can be really helpful for us to see.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
My other question is you had talking about the data, teachers looking at their data and then kind of brainstorming what to do about it. Can you share some specific examples of things teachers are asking for to say, hey, if we had this, we could move the needle, or what are the next steps of those discussions?
So because we did that work today, it's on little sticky notes on the infamous teacher-driven newsprint, and they're on my table in my office. And as soon as I direct somebody to type all that stuff up, I can definitely pass it on to you.
I apologize. I missed that bit about it being today. That's
it tends to be kind of the traditional three, right? Time. Teachers need time to get together to have those conversations. They want to try out certain teaching practices in their classrooms and then get together and talk. What worked, what didn't work, what was successful, what could I tweak? I know those are at least 2 or 3 of the ideas that came out when people were reported out. And then once we get all of that information typed up, I can certainly share it with the board.
Sure, and I think for us too, when you come back for your budget presentation, if there's anything that has a budget implication that's being asked for, I think even if it isn't in your budget request, to be like, hey, my teachers brought to me that they could use these things that I didn't put in my budget for XYZ reason. I just think it's important to have that conversation, to bring that forward, even if it doesn't end up in the final budget. So
I agree, and we can do that as well, absolutely, for sure.
That would be awesome. Yeah. Any more questions for Mr. Applestein? Oh, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you all.
All right, our next item is the presentation of the 26-27 district school calendar with Mrs. Hessler.
Good evening. I don't have a slide deck for you. You have everything you need in front of you, as Ms. Dubé purposely put everything together. My name is Christine Hessler, and for those of you listening at home, we are going to talk about the proposed calendar for the 26-27 school year, which is kind of amazing to think about. For those that are new on the board or those that are listening, we have a pretty lengthy process to develop a calendar each year. Under Maine statute, we need to align our calendars with 5 other districts. The districts we are assigned to are the ones that also attend Westbrook Vocational School. So we start meeting in early December. We have a representative like myself on that committee. We need to come up with a calendar where we do not have more than five dissimilar days in our calendars. So we have to get together, set our calendars, literally figure out month by month how many days are we missing. Some have more in-service days, some have more teacher days, more student days. So we work it out. We have it done. What really happens is we really look at 2 big things. When are we starting school, and what does Christmas break look like, winter break? As you know, we got the coveted 2 weeks this year. We also look at the dreaded where does Labor Day start each year. So if you're looking in front, I also gave you another sheet that breaks it down month by month. We will be starting with new staff orientation on August 25th. Followed by 2 teacher in-service days. So those are only staff days. And then the Friday of that week is our opening day, which all staff come together. Bus drivers, custodians, food service. It's a wonderful celebration. Many of you attended last year. Chris does a fantastic job kicking it off. And everybody in the entire district is here for the day. Christina also does a nice welcome. Then we will start with students. The first student day will be Monday, August 31st, and we roll into our first week. So on the calendar, you will see which grades start on which days. If you have an incoming kindergartner or pre-K, there are a different set of steps that you do coming in. All of those are communicated out to our families as they are incoming. As many of you know, we have message out that our pre-K lottery has started and our kindergarten registration has started. We roll through and we have our in-service days on your calendar. We have our holidays on your calendar, and we also have a graduation date of June 6th for some of us here, maybe, Maggie? Is that next year? There we go. You were the first one to know it. Our calendar includes 5 in-service days and 2 teacher comp days. We are sticking with our voting day, having 2 of our schools go remote for school safety. Other than that, we will be going to school Monday and Tuesday before the winter break. And I'm happy to answer any questions. I know this is new for some of you that are on the board.
Can I just add one additional thing, is that in addition to work with the 5 other districts, this has also been reviewed by the different associations for their input as well, from teachers and support staff.
Grace?
Oops, sorry. Is the October early release day, is that on a Thursday, or is that supposed to be on a Wednesday?
No, it's on a Friday.
The October 8th?
That's a Thursday.
That's an early release day.
On a Thursday?
Yes.
Okay, just that one time?
That is the only one we do. We do that so that our middle school and high school, secondary, they have so many early releases during the year. Today was one of them. So we traditionally do that Thursday as an early release, and then Friday. So when we have professional development come in, they have a day and a half if they needed for those big things. We had some really big pieces that came in. There was a new math adoption that we were having people to come in and train our teachers. So we've traditionally kept that there for that piece.
Joe?
Purely a curiosity question, because I'm sure there's a reason. Why do we start grades 1 through 9 a day before grades 10 through 12?
It's an opportunity to have, for as freshmen are orienting to their brand new large building, it's a chance for them to have a day of the building entirely to themselves. And it has helped tremendously over the years with freshmen feeling comfortable. We also invite parents in to attend freshman orientation and to go through an orientation as well. So it's a chance to just focus in on the newest class to the building.
area high schools do the same. In fact, I think either Ryan or Lindsay shared on that day they have their barbecue. They kick off the bar program on that day. It is a really cool day. The nerves. My daughters are both in college, but I remember getting ready to go on that first day. And we have wonderful students at the high school that volunteer that day and lead students around, and it's a nice, comfortable way to start. This is a large building for kiddos, so.
And I think, like, the Raymond kids especially appreciate that for
Absolutely.
sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
The Wednesday before Thanksgiving and then the Friday before April break, you call it a work day, teacher work day. Is that really a comp day?
It is a comp day.
Yeah, okay.
Teachers are working parent-teacher conferences, and that time
Right.
is given back to them
It's
for
a
those
comp day.
days.
That's what I
So,
thought. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions on the calendar? All right, and we are scheduled to vote on this in our next meeting at the end of February. So if any questions come up between now and then, I'm sure Christine Hessler would love to answer them.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are going to move on to policies. May I have a motion, please?
I move to approve the first reading of policy BEDH, public participation at board meetings.
Second.
Public comment, board discussion?
Ready?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the first reading of BEDH, which again is public participation in school board meetings. Policy is a required policy. The last time the board reviewed this policy was 2022. The policy committee has reviewed this and reviewed the recommended changes from MSMA. Those changes came from a 2023 revision. We bring the proposed changes to you tonight for first read on this policy, including language that reflects public comment period time may be limited to 30 minutes. In the event public comment is limited at the beginning to those 30 minutes, an additional public comment period will be added to the end of the agenda at the discretion of the board chair, if that were to occur. The remaining highlights in yellow are simply rewritten equivalent content to the struck list A through G in the current policy, as you can see in the markup. Note that the policy committee reviewed in detail each item in this policy for compliance with the current practice and in compliance with Robert's rules with respect to our new adoption of the agenda at the beginning of the meetings.
One thing that wasn't in there, I just wanted to point out that would bring this policy in compliance is, while we have always stated that you cannot air complaints about staff members, in order to be able to have that limit, if we're going to limit the content, it needs to be content neutral. So we also cannot allow specific compliments at public comment, which feels a little bit uncomfortable, but that's in order to, like, if we can limit the time and manner and place. There's very specific things, but in order to limit the content, it needs to be content neutral. So that has been added. If this policy goes through second read, I will then rewrite my rules prior to public comment to be in alignment with this. Questions? All those in favor? Motion carries. Next policy.
I move to approve the second reading JICI, Extracurricular and Co-curricular Activities Code of Conduct for Middle and High School Students.
Second.
Public comment, board discussion. All those in favor? Motion carries. Next policy.
I move to approve the second reading of BEA-R, Procedures for Board Member Communications with the Public.
Second.
Public comment, board discussion. All those in favor? Motion carries. Last policy, please.
I move to approve the second reading of BEA, Board of Directors' Use of Electronic Mail.
Second.
Public comment, board discussion. All those in favor? Motion carries. Next item is executive session. May I have a motion, please?
I move to approve going into executive session to review the district safety plan pursuant to 1 MRSA subsection 405-6F and not return to the regular meeting is usually what we do.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, motion carries. Our next regular meeting will be February 25th at Jordansville Middle School.